Abuja. I'm Chimubi. Let's take the headlines. Central Bank of Nigeria directed to discourage food importation financing as President Buhari engages Economic Advisory Council. Before now, the yields used to be about 2 tons per hectare. Now, with high yield seeds and the support of the Central Bank of Nigeria, smallholder farmers across the country are able to produce at least 4 tons per hectare to improve their yield. Federal government refutes claims of likely scarcity of maize in 2021. And in security, Inspector General of Police Muhammad Adamu seeks collaboration with communities to aid clearance operations in Mashegu, Niger State. Glad to have you with us, and now the news and details. President Muhammadu Buhari has given strong assurances that his administration will keep a keen eye on food inflation in the new year and directed the Central Bank of Nigeria to shut its doors against all those importing food into the country. This was at the 5th regular meeting with members of the Presidential Economic Advisory Council held virtually. State House correspondent Adamu Sambu has the report.
President Muhammadu Buhari noted with pride that already about 7 states in the country are producing all the rice required by Nigerians. As he puts it, during the closed-door engagement, we must eat what we produce. The president wondered where the country would have found itself with a devastating economic crisis brought about by COVID-19 if Nigeria had not embraced agriculture. Going back to the land, he insists, is the surest way out and re-emphasize the place of agriculture in government's efforts at restoring the economy, saying, however, that measures must be put in place to curtail inflation. He said the federal government will continue to encourage the people to go back to the land so as not to lose the opportunity of making their lives more meaningful, profitable and sustainable. The meeting, which was for a review of and reflections on the global and domestic economy in the outgoing year, was attended by Vice President Yemi Osinbajo as well as Ministers of Finance and that of Humanitarian Affairs, Disaster Management and Social Development. Participants noted the sharp deterioration in international economic environment and its impact on Nigeria's continuing but fragile economic recovery. Nigeria's economic growth, they say, continues to be constrained by obvious challenges, including infrastructural deficits and limited resources for government financing, and therefore the need to make the private sector the primary source of investment rather than government. The meeting also reviewed progress made towards structural reforms in response to the economic crisis, including the institution of the Economic Sustainability Plan, the changes in electricity tariff and fuel pricing regime, the partial reopening of land borders, the movement towards unification of exchange rates, as well as budgetary reforms. And to prepare the country for the challenges ahead, the meeting agreed on the necessity for macroeconomic stability towards creating certainty and rebuilding investor confidence in the economy. It also emphasized the need to deepen structural reforms initiated by the administration as a basis for stimulating investments from domestic and international sources with a view to raising productivity in key economic sectors. From the State House, Adamu Sambu, NTA News.
Now, the federal government has refuted claims making the rounds that the country will face scarcity of maize in 2021 as forecast agro-processors inadequate support to growers of the produce. The federal government and the Central Bank of Nigeria believe that maize farmers are producing more than enough to meet local demands. Agricultural correspondent Musa Babali has a report.
Nigeria is one of the world's largest producers and consumers of maize, also known as corn. Research reveals that maize is the most important food crop on high demand in Nigeria, followed by rice and wheat. Apart from human consumption of the crop, Most of it is used in agriculture as animal and fish feeds, as well as in the production of starch and syrup. Available statistics by the IITA, Central Bank of Nigeria, and farmers associations indicate that annually Nigerian farmers produce about 33 million metric tons of maize.
Before now, the yields used to be about 2 tons per hectare. Now, with high yield seeds and the support of the Central Bank of Nigeria, smallholder farmers across the country are able to produce at least 4 tons per hectare to improve their yield and at the end of the day improve profitability for the farmers.
The agro-processors, especially poultry feed producers, are complaining over the high cost and scarcity of the commodity.
We produced 20 million tons last year, and the actual demand for all the maize processors, maize human consumption is just 8 million tons.
While refuting claims of the scarcity, farmers under the Anchor Growers program say there are enough maize in the country and also plans to commence dry season farming this year. In Abuja, Musa Baba Aliyu, NTA News.
Let's now turn our attention to the judiciary, where the Federal High Court sitting in Abuja has admitted in evidence some documents listing the educational certificates submitted by the Edo State Governor Godwin Obaseki to contest the September 2020 governorship elections. The documents tendered in evidence were listed in the nomination form which the governor submitted to INEC. The presiding judge, Justice Ahmed Muhammad, overruled the objections by the council to Governor Obaseki and the PDP. The court ruled that the admissibility of Form EC9 tendered by the two plaintiffs, APC and Williams Edebo, was crucial to the case. In the pre-election matter, the plaintiffs are praying the court to set aside the participation of Governor Obaseki, alleging the existence of some irregularities in his educational certificates. The matter has been adjourned to Wednesday, 30th of December 2020. And following the federal government's directive on extension of the registration of National Identity Number registration for SIM cards, the National Identity Management Commission has been a beehive of persons who stop daily to get registered. Our correspondent, Kamini Williams, reports that the compliance level to COVID-19 safety protocols leaves so much to be desired.
If you have this tracking ID I have with me on my hand, see your name to be printed for you. Come and join this queue here, please.
The world as you know it today is grappling with what has been termed as a second wave of COVID-19. To these people, contracting the COVID-19 virus is half as important as getting registered and securing their national identity number.
If you're doing appointment to come today, let me see hands up. Okay, fine. Join this queue here, please.
For many here, the fear of being barred from making phone calls and receiving them supersedes the fear of contracting COVID-19.
I was there last week for registration, so people were much. They were really much to the extent that they gave us appointment date, which is today, 29. And we are here, the 29 people, we have not yet registered. They will just tell us, hold line here, do line here, do line here. We are not happy at all.
My kids were here by 4 o'clock a.m. And when it was around that 6, we entered. It's not that we enter easily with the crowd, the way they opened the gates, where everybody rushed in. So we entered and we have been sitting. This was about 7:30. That's when we entered. So we went by number because we filled form. So went by number and I have registered my children.
Meanwhile, efforts to reach the officials of the National Identity Management Commission proved futile as some of the officials on ground declined speaking.
While a few are speaking to a few others who have actually, completed their registration, and according to them, it is an orderly process in there. The only restraint is the crowd. And we've had a number of suggestions from, some of the people here to register. Some of them have suggested that, the dates are extended, and a few others have said maybe that these registrations should be brought to different locations to enable the process to be much faster.
In Abuja, Kevin Williams, NTA News.
The Inspector General of Police, Mohammed Adamu, has admonished communities terrorized by bandits and kidnappers to assist with information as a joint task force comprising mobile police and vigilante groups embark on clearance operation in Mashegu local government area of Niger State. Mukhtar Abubakar reports that the Commissioner of Police, Niger State Command, Adamu Usman, delivered the IGP's goodwill message to the members of the task force during a visit to Gadang Kasanga in Mashegu local government area of the state.
The morale of the mobile police and the vigilante groups was high on receiving the message of support from the Inspector General of Police, Mohammed Adamu, and the Niger State government. The IGP commended their efforts and urged them to operate within the ambit of the law.
Everybody is celebrating at home, but Christmas our men are outside. They are here to provide security for the community, just to appeal to the communities. We can't do it without their support. So if people decide not to assist in checking these people that are committing, certainly our effort will be useless.
The Niger State government, however, assured them of logistic support throughout the operation.
And the main reason why we're here is to move areas where we feel bandits are camped in those areas. The community have expressed their determination to protect their community, and the Commissioner of Police decided to support them with PMF so that they carry out this operation.
The joint task force comprising mobile police and vigilante groups embarked on the mob operation about 3 months ago and have since cleared some forest in Mariga, Kontagora and Rijo local government areas of Niger State. Mukhtar Abubakar, NTA News.
Now, Reform Coordination and Service Improvements Department of the FCT administration has mapped out plans to domesticate the e-government master plan of the federal government by January 2021. Acting Director of the department, Jumei Ahmed, disclosed this in an interview in Abuja. Shuaibu Onoze-Yakub reports that the measure is to improve the efficiency and transparency of public service administration.
The domestication of the e-government master plan of the federal government is to properly align automation and digitization of FCT activities. The Department of Reform Coordination and Service Improvement is also seeking to domesticate the FG scorecard for website of the FCT administration and agencies in February 2021. Acting Director of the department, Jumei Ahmadu, says the scorecard will entrench transparency and improvement in service delivery to FCT residents by improving timely and unrestricted access to government information.
FCT before now render the best services, but there's no how you say what you're doing is the best. So the essence of this series of activities to ensure that we enhance and improve transparency, and our aim also is to ensure that FCT wins this year's federal government e-governance scorecard that we used to have every year, that has been spearheaded by Bureau of Public Service Reform, and also to improve staff engagement as well, so that the way we are doing things have changed now. This time last year we never knew that we were going to be in this situation. Things are evolving, and that is why we now said if we don't go in line with the new normal, we'll find ourselves back where we were in the last few years before the coronavirus pandemic came.
She also revealed that the department work plan for the month of March 2021 will upgrade the skills of staff of the administration through training programs and development opportunities.
We also expect residents of FCT to have a say in how they are being governed. That is why the citizen engagement platform is going to also come on board, for them to know what they need to do, interact with our SDAs and see where they can engage them where things are not properly done. They can even go as far as working with contractors on site, not going to do the physical work with them, but to monitor what they are doing and report back where they think the contractor is trying to change government. So we are going to expect more from residents, as they too should expect a lot from the administration in the year 2021.
Other plans line up for the months of April, May, June, and July 2021 by the department include to work with the Bureau of Public Service Reforms to reintroduce mentoring and succession plan in the FCT. Shuaibu Onoze-Yakub, NTA News.
All right, if you're just joining us, this is the news at 10 on the network service of the NTA, reaching you live from our Abuja studios. Still ahead. Second wave of COVID-19 correspondent on citizens' awareness and compliance with protocols. Glad to have you back on the news. Now to business, as experts say single-digit inflation still attainable in Nigeria, but with concerted efforts by government at all levels. Here are the details on business news. Before the upsurge of the global pandemic, Nigeria's economy was already on its way to achieving single-digit inflation rate, but this was scuttled with the global recession due to COVID-19 and a crash of oil prices, putting pressure on the naira and the local economy. World Bank Country Director for Nigeria, Shubham Chaudhary, says the single-digit inflation is achievable for Nigeria, but policymakers need to prioritize expenditures and focus attention on price stability and control.
I think in the middle of a COVID crisis, with all the disruption that it has caused, I think it will be more challenging to bring inflation down, but not impossible. One of the things is, oil prices are low, and oil often feeds into the prices of other things because of the cost of transportation, things like that. So that's a good thing. On the other hand, the disruptions to supply chains and the fact that it's taking longer to get actually goods on time and you have to take more care will add to the inflation pressures on the upside.
In another development, the federal government is developing a sustainable model that will encourage local production of automobiles in the country through building 3 industrial parks in the country to strengthen the sector through a public-private partnership arrangement.
We met with a number of other stakeholders, Bank of Industry, to see how we can move forward and finance these projects, because we envision them to be PPP. But nonetheless, we have already actually started the preliminary construction of the facilities at these parks. So government is showing commitment, and then hopefully this will show how serious this administration is to Nigerians and to the global community, that we are ready for business, that we're ready to improve and produce local components that go into automobiles.
With business news, I'm Chimubi Walter Naji. Let's now turn our attention to other matters. This is latest data from the Nigeria Center for Disease Control, NCDC, shows some 749 new COVID-19 infections have been recorded in 17 states and the FCT, bringing the total number of confirmed cases to 85,560 in Nigeria. Of these 749 new cases, Lagos is 299, Plateau 131, Kaduna has 83, the FCT has 74, Kwara 35, Sokoto 26, Edo 18, Kano has 17, while Katsina has 16, Delta 11, Nasarawa 10, Ondo and Bauchi recorded 9 each. Rivers has 5, Akwa Ibom 3, while Jigawa, Osun and Ekiti confirmed 1 new case each. On cases per state list, Lagos remains top with 29,184 cases. Next is the FCT with 11,433 cases, followed by Kaduna with 5,071 cases. And Plateau is coming fourth with 4,755 total confirmed cases of 937,712 samples have been tested so far across the country, and some 12,356 cases are currently active. On a positive note, 71,937 patients have been recovered and have been discharged, with an unfortunate 1,267 deaths on record. Now, the COVID-19 data in the country shows that 16 out of every 100 tests carried out are positive. Chairman, Presidential Task Force on COVID-19 and Secretary to the Government of the Federation, Boss Mustafa, at Tuesday's briefing observed that low testing rate in some states is not helping the national response despite the huge financial resources and logistics made available to sub-national entities. Mitaire Ikben reports.
The festive season and related activities are instigating a spike in COVID-19 infections, as revealed by the PTF.
We had more cases in Nigeria last week than in any other previous week since the beginning of this outbreak. Event centers are full, social facilities are full, so it is no surprise that cases are rising. January will be a tough month, so we have to brace ourselves for the consequences of the activities that we have decided to carry out in December.
Please, if you don't have to go out, don't go out, because you are safest in your home environment. And this is not the time to receive visitors in your various homes.
Some states are yet to report infections for several weeks, despite the presence of laboratories in those states and huge resources from the federal government.
Their inability to function optimally has resulted in unacceptable levels of delay in receiving results and pressure on the national reference labs. We wish to urge all states to reopen all laboratories and ensure that testing is expanded and turnaround time for results is substantially reduced.
The PTF is also scaling up oxygen supply in medical facilities nationwide as COVID-19 cases get critical in the epicenters in the country. In Abuja, Mitaire Ikben, NTA News.
Now, Nigeria is not just at risk of losing the gains already recorded towards in mitigating the spread of COVID-19 in the last 10 months, but also of losing more lives through the virus due to flagrant disregard for COVID-19 protocols in many parts of the country. Correspondent Lydia Sampson reports that medical practitioners are calling for more caution and the need for citizens to take responsibility to simply practice the simple steps of hand washing, use of alcohol-based hand sanitizers, and physical distancing to curb further spread.
The second wave of COVID-19 is raging, and for me, it's about taking responsibility and even going a step further to check people even before I interview them. Please, can I take your temperature? So what do you do to be safe?
I observe all the protocols. I work with my sanitizer, and I'm always on my marks. I'm wearing my mask, and then always checking my temperature. The second wave of the COVID-19 is here and is real.
These people belong to the group of Nigerians taking responsibility. Ironically, the super spreaders cynically remain convinced that COVID-19 is not real, and as a result, they walk the streets without face masks. Some, on the other hand, only carry the masks in their handbags or pockets, and when accosted, they quickly wear it just to blend in.
We're just lucky that initial wave did not affect us as much, but this second wave is really affecting. The number of deaths are there.
COVID is real. It's not meant to move around with our masks.
He said, since assessing the hope offered by the arrival of the vaccine is still far from reach, Nigerians must imbibe laid down COVID-19 protocols with all diligence, as it is now a matter of life and death. In Abuja, Lydia Sampson, NTA News.
Still staying with the coronavirus pandemic, following the recent spike in the cases of COVID-19 in the country, the federal government and state governments have reinstated some major COVID-19 preventive measures aimed at curtailing further spread of the virus. Residents of Uyo have commended these efforts of government, saying adhering to protocol is better than another lockdown. Clement Baruki reports.
Within the past 2 weeks, Nigeria has recorded not less than 10,000 cases of COVID-19 in what many described as the second wave of the pandemic. This has raised concern among stakeholders
with government at the federal and state levels bringing out new measures to deal with the situation. In Akwa Ibom State, government has cancelled all events requiring large crowd.
Use of face masks remains compulsory in all public buildings, offices, public places, in tricycles, buses, cars, churches, mosques, markets, hotels, schools, etc.
Nigerians in Uyo say complying with the COVID-19 protocols is better than another lockdown.
A lockdown will cause more harm than good, because when you're repairing things in the economy after the lockdown, it will take you 20 years to repair what you locked down the country for just 1 month.
For now, the only way to arrest the rising cases of COVID-19, according to the Nigerian Center for Disease Control, is to avoid all non-essential travels, observe physical distancing, wearing a face mask always, and avoid mass gatherings, particularly during this Yuletide. In Uyo, Clement Barkui, NTA News.
Now, as part of measures to contain the second wave of coronavirus pandemic, the Yobe State Committee on the Prevention and Control of COVID-19 has met and came up with 16-point resolutions aimed at curtailing the spread of the virus among the public. These measures, among others, include reducing the number of passengers by 50% in public transport, discourage social and religious gatherings, delayed school resumption, and directing civil servants on level 12 and below to work from home for 5 weeks. Yunusa Suleiman reports.
As COVID-19 resurgence is being experienced in Yobe State, the Committee on Prevention and Spread of the Disease has come out with 6-point resolutions to curtail its effect in the second wave. The State Deputy Governor E.D. Bodogubana announced that all government employees on grade level 12 and below are to work from home from the next 5 weeks, in addition to banning religious and social gatherings.
The committee further wishes to draw the attention of the general public on the rising cases of the disease during the second phase affecting the entire country and the world in general. In view of the above, the committee calls on all to adhere strictly to the prevention and control measures.
The state has also taken another approach in terms of integrating the prevention and control measures with other health interventions or other health activities, primary health care, and so on and so forth. That way, people will now understand that it's not a different thing, but then it's something that is related to the general things that are used to in terms of the health prevention and control measures.
While thanking the public once again for the anticipated understanding and cooperation, the committee enjoined all to be highly responsible in order to curtail the negative impact of the pandemic. In Damaturu, Yunusa Suleiman, NTA News.
Now the news at 10 is reaching you on NTA News 24. Ahead on the news, ECOWAS declaration on Nigerian public election. Stay with us.